Hello. My name is Miss Erin, and I work at the Mount Airy Public Library, and I'm coming to you live from the library. We are still closed. We are only open for express pickup at certain times in the day. So check on our website to see the form of how to fill out items that you might have on hold. You can fill out a form to come and schedule a time to pick them up. So, but in the meantime, I wanted to tell you guys about some really great new-ish middle grade books that I have been reading. Since you guys can't come into the library and browse our collections, I just thought it would be a good idea to tell you ones that I liked that I think you should check out because I think that you will like them too. So first up is Trespassers, and this is by Brina Bard, and this is a graphic novel, and this is stars like a movie. Our main character is Gabby, and Gabby is a middle schooler, and she always has her nose in a book. So if you are like me and kind of a bookworm, you will totally relate to Gabby. But even if not, I think you're gonna like this too. She and her family are headed to their lake house for the summer. They've had it in their family for years and years. Her mother grew up there. But this summer, she is forced to hang out with her next door neighbor, a new girl named Paige. They're kind of new to the lake. Paige is kind of snarky and kind of like mysterious, but not in a fun way. Um, so they're faced with a long and boring summer. So instead of just doing the usual things that they would do at the lake, which would be for Gabby just to like read by the lakeside, they discover that the local beautiful lake house, let me see if I can find a really great picture of it, that this famous architect built years and years ago has a mystery that surrounds it. And so they travel to look at the lake house and they think, man, if we could just go in there and see what it looks like, we could figure out what this mystery is. I'm trying to find the outside of it. Um, so here's a great shot of it. All right, so here's the lake, and here's this gorgeous lake house that is right near them that is empty. So the architect and the guy who originally lived there doesn't live there anymore because he and his wife mysteriously disappeared. So Gabby and Paige decide to build a mystery and wonder what might have actually happened at the lake. But is it something they're just pretending, or have they stumbled on to something more sinister that actually did happen at that lake house? To find out, you will have to read Trespassers by Brina Bard. Okay, I'm going to move on. My next one is also a graphic novel. Let me just tell you, 4 out of 5 of these are graphic novels. Um, and another thing I noticed when I was kind of getting my list together of what I recently read that I really liked is a lot of these main characters are girls. And usually at the library, we try to think, okay, well, I want to show books that have girls and books that have boys so everyone can want to, find their character that they want to read about. However, we recently read a study that girls are very flexible readers and they will read a book if it has a boy character as the main character or a girl character as the main character. And as a result, that teaches them to have a wider perspective of stories and a wider sense of empathy. So even if you have a boy at home that you think might be hesitant to read some of these because they star girls as their main characters, I encourage you to pick these up anyway, because there is a lot of interest for everyone. Okay, so that's my little pitch. So my next one is Shirley and Jamila Save Their Summer. And this one is by Jillian Gers. And this is the first in a series. So I'm really excited because that means there's going to be more coming out and I would love to read more. So Shirley and Jamila are about as different as you can get. But they do have one thing in common. If they don't come up with a plan for how to spend their summer that their moms will find useful, they will be forced to go to science camp for Jamila and dance camp for Shirley. They do not want that. That's like the one thing they have in common. So they come up with a great plan that their moms agree on that if they go and hang out at the basketball court, so Jamila can practice playing basketball because that's what she loves to do, Shirley can read and draw and do all the things that she wants to do spending her summer. And they're kind of co-supervising each other. However, once they get to the basketball court, Jamila realizes that there are a lot of kids that keep coming up and chatting with Shirley in kind of a really mysterious way. So, why do we think that is? What does Shirley have going on with the other kids in the community that she kind of has to whisper about at the basketball court? So eventually, Jamila's curiosity gets the better of her, but is she ready to enter into Shirley's mysterious world? You will have to read the book to find out. These characters are both so different, but they're so great, and I like that they kind of form a friendship, even though it would be hard to see how these characters would get along because they're just that different. So that is Shirley and Jamila Save Their Summer. That is by Jillian Gers. Okay, we're going to move on. This is my chapter book. So this is not a graphic novel. This is a middle grade chapter book, and it is called an epistolary novel. So an epistolary novel means that it is told through letters. So if you have ever written a letter to someone and they've written back, and if you just had those kind of alternating, then that is an epistolary book. It would count for emails too. This is called Get a Grip by Vivi Cohen, Get a Grip, Vivi Cohen, that's the main character. And it's by Sarah Capit. And Vivi Cohen right here is, let me see if I can get my notes because I can't remember how old she is. Aha, she is in middle school. Yes, that's right. So her name is Vivian Jane Cohen, or Vivi for short. She shares her initials, VJC, with her favorite Major League Baseball player, Vincent James Capello. His best throw, he's a pitcher, is the knuckleball, and she wants to be a pitcher just like him. So she starts to write to him about a few things that are kind of standing in her way of becoming this really great baseball player. One, she's a girl, and girls are not technically usually allowed to play on the baseball team that she wants to play on. Two, she is on the spectrum. She has autism, and so she has some struggles with development skills in that way, especially when dealing with her teammates. And then three, there is a great big bully named Kyle who is on the team, and he's the coach's son. So she's got kind of a lot of these obstacles that she has to overcome in order to become a great pitcher, just like Vincent VJ Capello, who's her favorite. So she starts to write to him. So the first couple of chapters are letters from her to him. And then early on in the book, he writes back to her. I was amazed. I mean, I loved baseball growing up. I still love baseball, but I definitely had players that I really loved, like Ken Griffey Jr. and Nolan Ryan. And if I had written to them and they wrote back to me, I would have been bonkers. I would have been so happy. So they actually start a really nice friendship via first letters and then email. And not only does he kind of give her advice, but she actually kind of helps him too. And so it's a very sweet story. There's a lot of bravery involved. If you've ever wanted to do something that someone said, I don't think that's the right thing for you to do, but you really thought it was, this is a great book for you. So this is Get a Grip, Vivi Cohen by Sarah Capit. Okay, I have two more books. My next one is called Stepping Stones, and this is by Lucy Nisley. And Lucy Nisley is a graphic novelist. She writes and draws her books, so everything in here is by her. And she writes a lot about her own life. So in the back of this book, you'll find a really great author's note, and you'll see some of the characters in here. They were inspired by characters that she actually grew up with. And she's very, puts a lot of her own self into it. So this is called Stepping Stones. And Jen is our main character right here. And Jen and her mom are trying to get used to their new life on the farm. Her parents have just gotten divorced a bit ago. And as a result, they've moved out of the big city and onto a farm in the country, which is what Jen's mom really, really wanted to do. In addition, Jen's mom has started dating another man. His name is Walter, and Jen doesn't necessarily get along with him. Walter is kind of gruff. He always calls her Jenny instead of Jen, and it really annoys her. And not only is she tasked with cleaning out the chicken coop, which can be kind of really like stinky and gross, but she also has to put up with Walter's annoying daughters who come and visit every weekend. One of them is Andy, which is short for Andrea, and Andy is bossy and a know-it-all, and she just kind of like takes over everything. She like renames the chickens that Jen has named. She takes over their stand at the farmer's market. So if you've ever known anyone like that, like a know-it-all, and you're like, it doesn't matter what I say or do, they always think they have the last word. Man, you will really, really feel what Jen's going through in this. So I really liked it. She has a very gentle style with a really nice color palette. There's a lot of humor in here, but a lot of realism. So you're going to find at least one character in here who you really identify with. And you'll have to find out if they can overcome their differences and have a really nice time getting along and getting to know each other. So this is Stepping Stones by Lucy Nisley. Okay, ready for our last one? So remember how Jamila and Shirley Save Their Summer was the first in the series? Well, this next book is actually the third in a series. I'm going to get my notes just in case I forget something. This is called Act, and this is by Kayla Miller. And just like Lucy Nisley, she writes and draws her books. So she is the writer and the illustrator of this graphic novel. And this book is the third in the Click series. So the first book is called Click. The second book is called Camp. That book is on our summer reading recommended list. And then this third book is called Act. And we have the same main character, Olive. Olive is excited to start the 6th grade. She's going to a new school, middle school, with new teachers, and there's a field trip to the big city that they're going to take. When her class gets back from the field trip, though, Olive realizes that not every student in her class could afford to go. And she thinks that that really isn't fair. And so with help from some of her friends and her mom and her aunt, she decides to make her voice heard and create a petition to go around the school to see if people could sign to figure out a way to get funds for everyone to be able to go on a field trip. But she sees an even better opportunity when there's an announcement that a student council election is coming up. And she sees this as a great way to make positive change in her school. So she decides to run. However, a few of her friends have decided to run too. So there's kind of some conflict and friction there. I will tell you, I absolutely love some of the posters that Olive creates. She's kind of actually standing in front of one right now. But they make great posters, they give speeches. So if you've ever been interested in student elections or being an activist in your community for positive change, or if you've ever had an idea of how something maybe isn't fair and you want to see the world kind of make it fair to people and seek out justice, then this is a great book for you. So you'll have to find out if she's able to kind of find her voice and find her power to be able to make a difference in her school. So this was Act by Kayla Miller. And we have plenty of these. These are just some from our new shelf. We have plenty of great recommendations. If you ever need a recommendation, please call any of your library branches. And you can tell us what you're reading, what you're into. You can tell us what your kiddo is reading, what your kiddo is into. And we are happy to find some titles to put on hold for you and have you guys come and pick them up. Thank you guys so much for joining us today. All right. We will see you next time. Bye, everyone.